All right, well, today is the start of a new era in my shop, and that is for a very good reason. As you guys know, I have been progressively over the past couple of years getting into nicer and more complicated models, and my radio has served me exceptionally well. I love my FrSky Horus X10S. It has been an amazing radio. I love it for a number of reasons, and let me first go over those reasons before I get into what's coming. My radio has just been a workhorse for me. It's amazing for a number of things, mostly because of ergonomics. Um, so to demonstrate what I'll show is the way that my hands work. So most people, when they move their fingers, you can move one finger down at a time, right? But when I move my middle finger down, my tendons are tied between my middle finger and my ring finger. Now, I can move my ring finger just fine, but when I do my middle finger, I can't. So I am limited there. I also have large palms with short, stubby fingers. So I am a thumb pilot. And because of my short digits, the ergonomics are really important for me. So because I'm a thumb pilot, I don't want to have to rotate my wrist. I want to be able to pivot and just leave my hand where it is on the side, right? Because being able to access the switches, I don't want to have to be at an extreme, have to access a switch at the same time. That's a lot of pilot load. In addition, I was able to modify this radio to allow me to get the sticks sunk into the radio a little bit more. You can see this black right here just below the silver. That's a 3D print. It's a 4 millimeter spacer, so I can get it deeper in the radio. What this does is it allows the pivot point for the gimbal to sit further in the radio and therefore allow the pivot point to be a lot easier to access for the way that I fly. All right. The other thing that I loved about this radio is that I was able to update the battery to a much larger battery, twice the capacity, which also was able to balance this radio much better. So that when you pick it up, it actually sits level. Uh, that's one of the small things for me because I'm bending over my airplane when I'm getting it ready to fly, and that's an important thing for me. In addition, the programmability of this radio is just off the chart. I have custom sounds, custom features, all sorts of things in this radio on my models that other radios at the time when I purchased this was very, very limiting. So when I purchased this radio, it was also out for a couple of years because I'm not an early adopter kind of person. To me, the privilege of being an early adopter is just not there. It doesn't appeal to me at all, mostly because I've seen far too many technologies be early adopted and they end up being crap and they just make your life more difficult in other ways that people don't think about. And so I'm one of those people that's cautiously optimistic about a new technology. Let other people be the early adopters because they're excited for it. I'm excited for technology too, but only if it's going to make my life better, not different. It doesn't do me any good if the technology just makes my life different because then it just wastes my time adopting to the technology. So there's no incentive for me to adopt it. That being said, one of the things that is annoying about the Horus is that when you fly with it, the neck strap being in the middle, yeah, you can't see the telemetry. You guys know how much I love my telemetry, and not being able to see it at a glance, even the timer on the radio, super annoying to me. And I've said this for years that Europeans have it right where the screen is on the top. Okay. So all these radios that are coming out that have the screen in the wrong place is just wrong. And I don't care if you have telemetry that can announce it by listening to it. It doesn't matter because when I sit down with the radio, I fly with a neck strap. Okay. I fly with a neck strap and it's in the way. Okay. The last big advantage before I reveal the radio is, or disadvantage of the X10S is uh, redundancy. So you guys, I've got models coming. I've got models coming that are just big, big like if you think that some of my projects have been big projects, like only scratching the surface. Okay. I've got models coming. I mean, thousands of dollars. Okay. Thousands of dollars in equipment and parts and stuff. Okay. So insurance. Okay. I want a radio signal that I know is going to work and that is going to be redundant. And so the X10S just doesn't provide that. It does to a limited capacity where I can use two receivers, but that's two receivers for different channels. So you can still technically receive for the other depending on how you wire things, but it's not true redundancy in my opinion. So what did I buy? Of course, I stayed with FrSky. I love the FrSky platform. I have been looking at a number of different models for a while now. I looked at the 18 and I looked at the 20. I knew that the newer versions of the 20, the R and RS, I looked at the Pro. I looked at everything in the current lineup, and what I settled on was the X20S. The X20S provides everything that I love and hold dear in the X10S, and it just fixes all of those issues. I've got the screen up top so I can actually use my telemetry. It has all the programmability and customization that I want. I've been able to take my custom sounds that I've generated using my own voice, put them on the radio. They work just fine. And pictures, like all the custom pictures that I've generated and had, what's his name? I'll put the link right here. Custom icons for your radio to me is huge because I build a lot. And so I want to see my model on my radio. All of those things I can bring over to this model of transmitter. In addition, what this radio gives me is true redundancy. Not only can I do true redundant receivers that are independent from each other, but I have independent frequencies. Independent frequencies, what do I mean by that? So we operate typically on 2.4 gigahertz radio systems, right? But the FrSky tandem receivers also operate in the 900 megahertz spectrum. While this may not be something that appeals to some pilots, typically 900 megahertz has been a long range FPV kind of frequency. But for me, what it gives me is another layer of redundancy for some of these investments in my toys. Seriously, guys, like it's it's a small price to pay. Okay, I've had this radio for a number of years. Hold on. Look at how worn this radio is. Okay, the chrome is just eroding off from summers of sweat and dust and everything that the switches are wearing a lot. The screen, even though I have a screen protector, it's got some scratches and stuff. It's just it functions just fine, but in the long run, I don't think it's going to last. Mostly because it's a lot of plastics and such. But even the metals, like it's just wearing. Like the bezels here are being worn down. The edges of this switch are being worn down. It's just it's getting long in the tooth. So that being said, yeah, I ponied up and I bought a new radio. What's cool is when I purchased the Horus X10S, it was a $500 radio, and the X20S was less than that. So inflation, take it. um, Great technology at the same price years later. It's an improvement. It's a step up. It's doing everything that I could before. The programming is very similar. It is not the same. There is a bit of a learning curve, but because I have been with OpenTX Edge TX in that platform, it's a lot easier for me to migrate to this programming language, so to speak. So there have been things that I'm learning. There's additional things that I want to learn, but there's just a lot of flexibility for me to do a lot of fun, different things. What is it that I don't like about this radio? Probably really only one thing. Let me show you. All right, so looking at my X10S and my X20S, let's put them close together and I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. Remember that thing I talked about earlier with the ergonomics of my hand? Well, look at how deep set the gimbals are in the Horus, and it's like basically on the surface, like almost on the, like it's closer to the surface, way closer to the surface than on this radio. Okay, so let me show you. When I'm just doing my basic maneuvers, so I have to like rotate my hand away from the radio to get that bottom right. See that? Because the way my thumb bends, okay? My thumb, I have hitchhiker's thumb, okay? So when I bend my thumb forward, it basically just goes straight. So I don't have that mechanical advantage of other people, okay? Here, I don't have to do that. I just pull my thumb back because the gimbal is further in the radio because that pivot point is further away. And then consequently on the other direction, so I have to rotate my wrist slightly inward. That's what I'm talking about. That's the only thing I have to complain about this radio. I like the gimbal spacing far apart. Other radios have them closer together. I don't like that. I feel like too constricted, like bringing my hands together. It's more natural and comfortable for me to have my hands just a little further apart. So I like that, but I don't like how close these gimbals are mounted to the radio. And basing off of how thick this radio is, I don't think that I can get a spacer in between there to at least improve on this a little bit. I have taken it apart a little bit because I like my gimbals pretty loose. So if that's any indication compared to your radio, I like my gimbals very, very loose because I do very fine movements with my thumb for my scale flying, but I still want to feel the center position. A lot of other gimbals, when you do this loose setup, you get to the middle and you can't feel where center is, the little detents. It just gets so soft and vague that you can't, like, I love how this radio feels. I'm also not a ratchet for the throttle. I don't like ratchet. I like it smooth. So those things, that's minor. Other radios can do that, but like that's me. Okay. Now, moving forward, all of my programming and stuff is going to be on this radio. I will reserve this as a backup because most of my planes, the fun ones, can still be flown on this radio. So moving forward, we've got a really nice radio that is going to do all of the things that I need and a bag of chips. The side protectors, I actually don't like the feel of those side protectors. I like the feel of the rubber that's on the back here. You've got additional buttons on the back. I have paid for a multi-protocol on the back so that I can stick with all of my old receivers. And I did pony up for the hard case. Comes with a soft case. Don't like soft cases. It's annoying. And I hate having to put something on top of the radio when I put it back in the case. Other small quibble is, come on, guys. This neck strap it's garbage. It's just garbage. And like to get a purpose-built neck strap in this hobby, like you can't just get a lanyard off the shelf. They're not the same. And to have something that's made of like pleather, and you're going to be in the hot sun and you're going to be sweating all over this, like it's going to come apart fast. So, uh, I mean, if you are a person that is good with a sewing machine, there is a market for good quality neck straps. Because in my opinion, the vast majority of neck straps out there, crap. I said it. I said it. Okay, Spectrum, crap. Futaba, not as crap. I've seen those neck straps. They're pretty nice. But like the closest thing that was good, like even my old Tyrannus neck strap is better than this new neck strap. Why? Because it's an actual fabric. I can wash this. It's not got stitching that's going to come apart, okay? I've been using this neck strap for a long, long time because it's a good neck strap. This other neck strap, crap. A lot of reasons, a lot of talking, but to say the least, I do like the Ethos system. So let me talk a little bit about Ethos. So I've been able to set up my radio where when I boot it up, it just comes up with my different models, so I can select which model that I want. You can select by category, and it does take a minute to load up all of the icons. But again, kind of minor in my opinion, because that's just a fancy gimmick anyway. What's important is that the names come up right away. So you can go to this one, and I want the buffalo right away.
Throttle hold, high rates.
Cool. So it's very, very familiar. It's not the same, but it is very, very familiar. So with that said, like all of the programming stuff is organized very, very well. And even special functions work the same logic switches. All of that programming is very, very similar. What is different is how you work with mixes and outputs. So that is the primary sticking point for my learning point that I had to get used to. But then your receiver system. So again, you can select whether you're using multi-module or internal, whether you're using access or the two frequencies. I mean, all of it, it's all there, and the manual is available. It's digital and easily searchable. And then, of course, you can edit model and timers and all of that fun stuff. Trainer mode, telemetry. Telemetry is my jam, right? So I'm able to do that. Oh, I was also able to modify the Ethos icon to be my logo, which is kind of cool. I appreciated that ability to do some customization as well. So if anybody tries to steal my radio, it's not going to be easy to prove that, oh yeah, this is my radio. Yeah, just my little thing. Yeah, I'm paranoid about people stealing my stuff. It's okay. But yeah, having volume like on a little slider down here, oh my gosh, that's amazing to me. Just be able to have a volume slider. Who would have thought that it would be that easy? And then like having a lot of people complain about not having the trims like exactly where they are. Again, that's a mild ergonomics thing. For example, on the Horus, it's directly below the gimbal, but I have these additional ones. So to me, it's not really that big of a deal. I don't use trims all that frequently anyway. So yeah, keep that in mind. Now, all of this being said, I'm not saying that other radios are garbage, okay? What I am saying is that this is the radio for me. I thought long and hard, and there are a couple of people out there that know that I had considered moving to Spectrum, but they're just after seeing a very expensive airplane that was custom built from scratch go down because of a simple thing. This made me do the move. Hands down, made me do the move to this radio system. I was considering it before, very heavily considering it, but yeah, went right to it. So that being said, I did get the radio from FPV Builds and Tech. So check out his website, fpvbuildsrc.com. Okay. Great guy, Anthony. Thank you so much for the radio and the excellent service. So I'm just telling you guys, like, do what's right for you. This is a radio system for me. It's worked for me for years, and it provides the advantages moving forward that I need to progress in the hobby. So until next time, guys, make sure you're going over to dubro.com, get the hardware that you need for your builds. Again, Josh 10 at checkout gets you 10%, and I get nothing. So take advantage of me and your subscribership to my channel. Also, keep building your flying works of art.